68,876 cases, among which 55,000 are coming from Wuhan city. Outside Wuhan, the total reported cases is reaching 11,000. By the 10th of the 4th, the newly added COVID-19 cases in the Hubei province remains to be zero, and there is no imported cases from the other countries. Outside Wuhan, for the consecutive 37 days, there is no newly reported cases. By the 10th of the April, there are still 332 patients hospitalized, among which the patient in the critical conditions are claimed to be 44 cases. By the 10th of the April, the newly added death case is 3, among which 2 of them is coming from Wuhan, 1 is coming from Xiangyang. By the 10th of the April 2020, the accumulated discharged cases is reaching 68,574, and the newly discharged case is 27 cases in Wuhan, 1 in Santao. By the 10th of April, the newly added asymptomatic cases in the Hubei province remained at 17 cases, while 19 asymptomatic cases turned their test report into the positive. That's the update from my side. Right now, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Hu Xinming to give us an introduction about the food security. So according to the arrangement, I'd like to update you about the supply and demand in the food across the whole province. First, I'd like to report to you from the supply side. Hubei is an important producer of all the foods and grains, and our annual production is surpassing 500 billion tons. And currently, the total produced weights last year is reaching 10 billion tons, which can support the whole province for another year. And the oils, flavors produced can also support the province for another 2 months. By the 10th of April, apart from the supporting of the outbreak of COVID-19, we have also sold our grains and food to other different provinces. The province of Hubei is at the forefront of the COVID-19 outbreak, so the grain security and grain safety is getting the limelight across the world. So after the outbreak of the COVID-19, all the people are crushed into the supermarket to get some of the grains stored. By doing a very good promotion while making sure all the supply is sufficient in the market, since the 7th of April, the total sales number of all the grains across the province is dropping down back to 5.5 billion tons. That is half compared with the peak time. And it is the similar number compared with what they consumed last year. During the outbreak of COVID-19, we are sending a call and a pledge to all the institutions across the province to shoulder their responsibilities. And all the grain manufacturers has overcome all kinds of difficulties, including a floating cost. They have produced and put the grains in the market with no rise of the price, and some of them even dropped their price, and they are really willing to donate their fair shares during the outbreak of the COVID-19. This is very moving. Second, we have also stabilized the supply while stabilize the market by building up a coordinated mechanism. We have successfully tackled the food safety issues. Wuhan is at the epicenter of COVID-19 outbreak. While we are trying to guarantee the food in Wuhan, we have built up a coordinated mechanism across the province, and we have also built up a daily reporting mechanism of the food inventory. with our targeted measures, we have guaranteed all kinds of the foods and grains. During the outbreak, the small packaged flavor is in urgent need. We have successfully changed the package configurations to meet the demand of the markets. And our bureaus has sent out 2 governmental notices to open up the grain channels for the grain manufacturers. And we have listed all of the grain producers and grain making companies and flavor making companies in the grain channels to provide them more suitable policies. And we have bought them the PPEs for twice, and we have them in their work resumption procedures. By now, there are 659 manufacturers of the food, and every day they can produce over 70 million tons of the food. Thirdly, we have also tried our best to stabilizing the price, and we have came up with several different plans with the targeted measures to channel all the grains. And we have led 579 different food manufacturers to make guarantees that they are not going to increase their price after the outbreak. And the taxation bureaus also cut their taxations for those companies during the outbreak. Let me take the mileage as one of the example. Since the eve of the Spring Festival, for the consecutive 40 days, there is no increase of this special grain. And starting from the March to the March 25th, there is a short wave of increase, but after the 26th of the March, the price is dropping down again. So generally speaking, the price is conducted as a quite stable measure. Fourthly, we are doing all kinds of work according to the requirement of the CPC Central Committee, and we are trying to make sure that all the consumed goods can guarantee the whole province, starting from 15 days to over 30 days. Thirdly, going forward, we are also going to focus on several different points to stabilizing the markets. Firstly, we are also going to stabilize the market as we did before, and we are also going to do a very good research and survey to make sure that all the information is being surveyed and exposed in an amped manner, and we are also going to make the inventory enough, and we are also going to channel through the last mile, making sure that all of the manufacturers is going to enrich their diversities to meet up the ever-demanding change of the market. And for those who are spreading rumors and bullying for the price, all the market institutions is going to crack them down according to the law of PRC. Secondly, we are also going to implement Hubei province's requirement of promoting economic development. We have also came up with several different policies, clarifying 80 different rules to organizing a smooth recovery of the agricultural industry, while getting more policy support and cutting more taxations and streamlining the procedures. We are going to open up the new green channels and supporting all of these food manufacturers. By the 4th of April, in the State Council's mechanism meeting of the coordination effort, the spokesperson has echoed the question about the food safety, and he's making sure that all the wheat can meet the national demand for over 1 year. As a general producers across the country, our province and our grain and food production can meet not only the demand from our province, and we can also sell our food to other different provinces. And we suggested every family, every household to buy the food in a rational fashion. Do not believe the rumors with the temperature rising up. It is getting more difficult to guarantee food freshness. So it is suggested that you should buy the food with the freshest manner. So the floor is open for questions. Please identify yourself before the question. With Legal Daily. My question is that during the outbreak of the COVID-19, what kind of governmental measures did you take to guarantee the peasants and their farming production? Thank you very much for your question. Some of the peasants in our province used to sell their wheat after their spring festival. The outbreak of the COVID-19 do influence their annual sales number. At the second half of the March, with a better turning of the general situation, we have planned all kinds of the scenarios. We have organized all kinds of experts, manufacturers to fully implement their procurement measures. Meanwhile, we are also helping all kinds of the companies to enlarge their procurement capacity. Secondly, we have also bridged the peasants with all the enterprises. And we have also stepped up the political promotion campaign to launch a series of the information exposures of the food markets. We also try our best to guide the peasants to sell their grains in a reasonable manner. Thirdly, we have also guided all kinds of enterprises to shoulder the responsibilities during the outbreak, and we have suggested them to keep up with certain different plans by appointed manners and closed-door manners. We have guided the peasants to sell their food in an orderly fashion and to avoid gathering up. Thank you. With Hong Kong Dakong News, Hubei is major manufacturers of the food across the countries. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19, how did the whole province tackle with the food production issue? Thank you very much for your question. Hubei is one of the major producers of the food across the country. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19, the provincial government has highlighted the food manufacturing issues, and we have implemented General Secretary Xi Jinping's idea to focusing on the food security, and we have summarized 4 different strongholds, and we are trying our best to guarantee the spring plowing time. First, we are focusing on the manufacturing resources during the spring plowing time, and we have also formed a special mechanism to guarantee when all the manufacturing mechanism is working in a promptly manner. We have transferred all kinds of the agri-resources, agri-devices to resume their work procedure, and we have also opened up the green channels to channel and bridge the agri-product to all the consumers. By the 8th of April, the accumulated transported seeds is reaching 7.1 tons, and the chemical parasite is reaching 8.1 tons to supply across the province. Secondly, we have also give a very good service to the agri-industry to avoid gathering ups. We have innovated a new online plus offline transitional model. During the spring plowing time, we have employed different experts, different governmental institutional workers to organize all kinds of the campaigns to bringing up all kinds of the agri-related informations on the TV. And we have, generally speaking, 38 different episodes of this agri-promotion television documentary. Around 68 million people have watched this TV program. With the turning over of the trend of the COVID-19, we have organized all of the township government and county governments in the lower risk region to resume their work in the field. This has actually helped all of us to meet the demand during the spring plowing time. Thirdly, we are trying our best to work on the summer plowing time. After the outbreak of the COVID-19, we have also encountered with all kinds of the hazardous natural disasters, together with all kinds of the outbreak of the parasites in the wheat. Across the province, we have made all kinds of the prerequisites and pre-plans for the agri-product. By the 9th of April, across the province, all of these harms of the worm has affected around 1,680 more of land. And averagely speaking, for each more of the land, we have spread all kinds of the chemical parasite among other different provincial measures. Currently, I can tell you in a clear manner that for temporarily, we have controlled the disease spread in the wheat. Fourthly, we are also trying our best in the spring agricultural production, because agriculture is an industry based on the seasons. During the springtime, we should focus on the summer agri-product production while grip the time of this valuable springtime. So according to the general arrangement, the early wheat has spread across 82.5 acres of land. That is around 97% of the land that we have planted. And there are also 2,238 of the land of the other different agri-product plant. That is around 88% of what we have planned before. The average households agricultural land is reaching 54 acres of land. That is to say, the progress is just as what we have planned so far. That is to say, we have also made up for the time which were lost during the outbreak. With economic delay, did Hubei use the food inventory in the government? Thank you very much for your question. Let me give you a brief introduction of the provincial food inventory. Actually, there are three categories of the food inventory. Governmental inventories, including the food inventory in the central government and in the provincial governments. And in the provincial government, there is also the three levels of the food inventories: provincial, municipal, and also county level. And secondly, for all of this inventory food, it is being procured at the minimum price. The price and the quantity is floating around the market in a constant manner. Thirdly, the food inventory is coming from the private companies. It is an inventory built up by the private sectors to control their food inventories. In our province, there are 2,200 food manufacturers and producers. They have a lot of inventories. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19, we have intensified the market surveys, and we have also exchanged the market demand to actually there is no introduce of the governmental inventory food with Yangtze River Cloud. How can we stabilize the food production this year? Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. By the 9th of April, that is the day before yesterday, the CPC Central Committee has upheld an agricultural spring plowing time conference, and the General Secretary has attended and emphasized and highlighted once again to stabilize the spring plowing time, to fully implement his requirements and also the Vice Premier Hu Chunhua's requirements. We in Hubei province has came up with a plan of the coordinated effort to control and stabilize the grain and food production. We are going to stabilize the plowing areas, and also we are going to stabilize the agriculture produced volume. We are doing the work in the 5 forefronts. First, we are stabilizing the manufacturing volume. And I think stabilizing the socio-economic development is one of our priorities. Hubei is the major manufacturers of the food across the whole country. We have produced a lot of the wheat, and it is accounting for 83% across the country. That is to say, most of the food we produced is focusing on the rice and wheat. And we have also stabilizing the markets by issuing out provincial guidelines, and it will came into effect next week. This guideline is quite detailed about the production target for each of the province, for each of the cities, and even county level. We are going to stabilize the wheat production to around 330 million more, while we are going to stabilizing the total production of the corns at around 10 million more. That is the first focus, stabilizing the total acres of the agricultural production land. Secondly, we are also going to streamline the logistic supplies. We should also focusing on the rate plus mechanism, while adopting a high-quality models, and we should also promote the Hubei featured second generation of the rate, among other different agricultural products with high values. I believe that this is going to be accounted for 1,800 acres of land. We should also focus on the over 10 millions of the high-quality wheat production area. And we should also standardize the total productions of the agri-products for all the potatoes in Hubei, and also the commercialized special type of the potatoes. It is going to help us to prioritize the agri structures in Hubei. Thirdly, we should also improve the single acres production, and this is how we are going to guarantee the total production. We are also going to utilize the last month before the summer, trying our best to prevent any hazard events. I also kindly ask all the friends from the media that you should pay more attention to the agri-growing industry in Hubei. At the end of the April, we are suffered a lot from the floods and brought by rain. Secondly, I think that in Hubei, before the arrival of summer, we are also suffered from all kinds of the insects and pests. We should also focus on cross-region development. And we should also focus on a green, high-quality, high-yield production mode. There are so many unique agri-products who suffered a lot from the outbreak of the insects and the pest. I am kindly ask all the friends from media to give more exposures to the agricultural hazard in the Hubei province. Fourthly, we should also bring up the new types of the agri-products. According to the requirement of the CPC Central Committee, we are trying our best to grow up a bunch of the agri-products. This is going to help us for the agro-production, and we are organizing a series of the working committees and the working teams to be responsible for certain different agricultural production area. This is going to improve the agri-product quality. Thirdly, we should focus on several different food manufacturers. There are some of these SMEs, but by supporting them, they can sign up the orders with the peasants. This is going to stabilizing the whole agricultural structure. Fifthly, with the peer support, we are going to focus on several different priorities. We have going through several different phases, and not so long ago, the CPC Central Committee and the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Areas had put forward the guidelines for the pricing mechanism of several different types of the agro-product. I believe that this is very informative and very meaningful for us. Secondly, we are trying to build up a coordinated insurance mechanism for the wheat. And by coordinating this effort, this is going to increase the price of the wheat by and large. And this is going to help the wheat to go through all kinds of the outbreak of the disasters and hazard. All the financial companies and financial institutions are quite assisting in this matter. Actually, we are calling out for all the financial institutions to give more support to our agri-manufacturer companies. To put it in one word, I'm going to use all the money to support the agro-production in Hubei province. Last question, please. With the voice of Hubei, across the Hubei, we care about the production of the food. How do we guarantee a smooth food production? Thank you very much for your question. Recently, the supplying of the food is becoming one of the hotspot issues widely discussed across the country. And for some of the retail terminals in our province, there is a short-term rush. What I want to tell everybody is that we have really apt food inventories in our province. And we are 100% sure that we can guarantee the food supply across the province. Looking at the inventory numbers, the total inventory number is ample, and it can support the whole province for 30 days instead of the standardized 15 days, and we can meet the current market demand from the inventories of the food. UN, FDA has a special committee, and they put forward a threshold which required that the inventory volume should be 17% to 18% of the total sales number in the market. But as for our province, this inventory percentage is far higher than this threshold. The current inventory food can support the whole province for another year. Across the country, grains supply and demand are balanced. Wheat's supply and demand are equal, and the general inventory can support the whole country for another year. From the production capacity, the wheat and rice that we produced in this country are far higher than what we consumed every year. For the wheat, we even sold it to other different provinces, giving the food supply to over 5 million people in the country. What I want to say here is that the beautiful mountains and green waters in Hubei has cultivated this enriching agricultural miracle. By enlarging the exporting of the food, we have built up a country-wide renowned companies. And these companies are speeding up and wrapping up all of their effort in production. I believe the exporting of the rice is achieving a historic record. Going forward, we are going to guarantee and stabilize the food security in the province while contribute our fair shares to the nationwide food security. We are going to feed you up and let you enjoy your food. Thank you. Thank you very much. With that, we conclude today's press briefing. Thank you.